Blood, by biological constitution, has always been considered one of the most valuable and essential substances of the human body. In addition to its primary function of transporting oxygen, nutrients, and hormones throughout the organism, its significance transcends mere medical analysis or recognition by traditional clinical practices. It carries within itself stories, origins, and potentially symbolic meanings that date back to ancient civilizations and spiritual traditions from long ago. Since the earliest times, various cultures have had an intimate and symbolism-rich relationship with blood. For ancient peoples, it represented life, the vital force pulsating within each being. In rituals, blood was seen as a direct connection to the spiritual realm, the source of energy that fuels and gives meaning to existence. These civilizations viewed blood as an element of bonding, an identifier within a group or lineage, sometimes bearing the weight of royal or ancestral bloodlines. In the modern era, the understanding of blood was largely reduced to the scientific realm. With advances in medicine and technology, we can identify specific details about different blood types, their characteristics, and compatibilities through precise laboratory tests. The ABO classification, Rh factor, and other genetic markers are now used objectively to ensure safe transfusions, organ compatibility, and genetic studies. It is a rigorous science, seeking concrete and useful answers for physical health, preventing adverse reactions or complications during medical procedures. However, there is an alternative perspective that proposes looking at blood beyond its physiological role, as a source of symbolic information, subjective insight, and self-understanding. This approach interprets blood types as representations of archetypes, personality traits, and predispositions that influence how each individual lives, relates to the world around them, and faces internal challenges. It suggests that biological data, when understood through a more philosophical and spiritual lens, can offer valuable clues about each person's essence. Just as Jung proposed a connection between symbols, archetypes, and the collective unconscious, some argue that our blood, in its own way, reflects traits of our soul, energetically carried across generations and our personal history. This view does not negate the importance of the scientific aspect but broadens understanding, recognizing that multiple dimensions exist within human existence. Furthermore, this symbolic reading of blood also alludes to shamanic traditions, ancient religions, and spiritual philosophies which associated blood with the roots of identity, bloodline, transmission of ancestry, and connection to higher forces. For these peoples, blood was a sacred element, bearer of invisible powers and spiritual traits that influence life, choices, and destiny. The symbolic interpretation also suggests that our characteristics, predispositions, and even behavioral tendencies may be reflected in our blood types. As a way to complement understanding of who we are, this perspective encourages deeper reflection on our origins, relationships, and possibilities for inner transformation. After all, recognizing that blood carries more than cells and DNA is opening a door to understanding that our roots, emotions, and archetypes are intertwined in ways that often go beyond scientific evidence. Looking at blood from this perspective, we can see it as a bridge between the physical world and the symbolic realm, a connection between who we are internally and what we express externally. This integrative view promotes a more holistic understanding of the individual, valuing ancestral roots, their potential for change, and the power of their own story. Thus, blood ceases to be merely a biological component and begins to represent a fundamental part of the journey of self-knowledge, carrying the marks of our deepest essence. To thoroughly understand what blood can reveal about our inner selves, we need to delve into the universe of ideas by Carl Jung, one of the most prominent figures in analytical psychology. Jung proposed that the collective unconscious functions as a sort of reservoir of symbols, images, and archetypes that influence behaviors, emotions, and even aspects linked to our deepest essence. He believed that these archetypes create a universal structure shared by all humanity that shapes our psyche from birth. Applying this view to the concept of blood, a hypothesis emerges that our blood types can symbolically reflect a connection with certain archetypes, shaping our predispositions and natural ways of acting and responding to the experiences of the world. In this context, blood would cease to be merely a biological property and become a kind of internal map, a mirror of archetypes coexisting within each of us, influencing our choices, personality traits, and even our destiny. From this perspective, it is possible to argue that blood type functions as an archetypal signature. More specifically, each classification would relate to aspects of the collective unconscious manifested in different ways depending on the individual. Thus, someone with type A blood could symbolically carry an archetype of responsibility, organization, and perfectionism, reflecting a predisposition toward control, care, and adherence to rules. These characteristics are deeply associated with the image of a guardian, someone who seeks stability, harmony, and perfection in their actions. Conversely, those with type B blood might be more connected to an archetype of creativity, freedom, and spontaneity, an individual who navigates more liberated emotions, seeks innovation, and values authenticity. This connection represents a natural predisposition to explore possibilities, sometimes challenging traditions and established patterns in search of autonomous expression. For AB blood, which combines elements of A and B, a symbolic association, with an archetype of balance, adaptability, and mystery can be imagined. These individuals could be seen as mediators, capable of integrating different aspects of themselves and flowing between emotions and rationality, adopting a stance of emotional and mental flexibility. They carry an openness to the new while maintaining a certain aura of secrecy and inner depth. Type O blood, considered the oldest, points to the archetype of the leader, the pioneer, someone who seeks strength, authenticity, and mastery. These individuals tend to exhibit qualities of courage, determination, and confidence, preparing them for roles of influence, leadership, and transformation. Their vital energy is often directed toward acting with purpose and achieving results naturally, unafraid of challenges. In establishing these associations, it's important to note that this is not an exact science but a symbolic reading aimed at a deeper understanding of how our predispositions might be influenced by universal archetypal factors. This approach broadens our perspective, inviting each person to see how elements of their DNA could also reflect internal aspects that transcend the physical body, speaking directly to our deepest unconscious. Another significant facet of Jung's perspective is his concept of the persona, the social mask each individual wears, and how the archetypes present in blood may influence this mask, shaping how we present ourselves to the world. Therefore, understanding the symbolism of blood itself becomes a tool for self-discovery, allowing us to recognize what is most genuine and authentic within our core. For example, these associations could also help in understanding interpersonal relationships. If two people have different blood types, this symbolic reading could help them understand their own predispositions and those of the other with more compassion, aiding in conflict avoidance and fostering greater connection. Thus, the symbolism of blood as a window into archetypes functions not only as a tool for introspection, but also as a bridge of understanding with those around us. Ultimately, this archetypal interpretation of blood encourages a stance of self-awareness, where each individual can explore their natural tendencies to uncover potentials and possible challenges. It reveals that our essence is not fixed, but fluid, shaped by genetic legacy and conscious contact with the archetypes that reside within us. In this way, blood ceases to be merely biological information and becomes an invitation to a deeper journey of self-connection, engaging with inner desires and patterns that reveal what we truly are. As we reflect on the connection between Jungian archetypes and blood types, we encounter a more intricate and profound understanding of what we are at our core. Each trait, each emotional or behavioral disposition may, symbolically, carry an archetypal signature, a mark that reveals universal patterns present in the collective consciousness. This means that by examining your blood through this lens, you have the opportunity to embark on a more conscious journey of self-knowledge, influenced by symbols that transcend rationality, accessing more subtle and authentic layers of your personality. Interpreting these archetypes is not an attempt to label or limit anyone, but a tool to understand your natural tendencies and growth potentials. When we recognize that qualities such as leadership, creativity, responsibility, or flexibility are linked to archetypes rooted in our origins, we gain clearer insights to develop skills, strengthen our strengths, and work through vulnerabilities. It's like discovering a map that points to who we truly are beyond social masks and superficial labels. Another important aspect is that this archetypal reading helps us understand the role we play in our relationships, whether at work, within, family, or among friends. The more aware we are of the tendencies symbolized by our blood types, the better we can position ourselves authentically and compassionately toward ourselves and others. This understanding promotes greater empathy, avoids superficial judgments, and builds solid bridges for genuine connections. After all, recognizing our internal archetypes is a crucial step toward more harmonious and balanced coexistence. Deciphering what blood symbolically represents within us also encourages an attitude of acceptance. Since these qualities are part of our soul, understanding that they are rooted in something universal and ancestral helps foster a more loving and tolerant stance toward our own imperfections. Authenticity ceases to be a distant ideal and instead becomes a daily journey of self-discovery, where blood serves as a silent guide, a whisper reminding us that we are more than the superficial impressions often attributed to us by the world. Furthermore, this interpretation shows us that we can use this symbolism to promote internal changes. For example, someone with blood type A, associated with the archetype of responsibility, might realize the importance of cultivating emotional flexibility to balance their controlling tendencies. A person with blood type B, more connected to creativity, could recognize the need to discipline their spontaneity to achieve more solid goals. Thus, by uncovering the archetypes present in our blood, we open space for conscious transformation, where inner forces cease to be passive predispositions and become allies in inner growth. To complete, this perspective also emphasizes that human essence is a dynamic and complex mosaic. Each of us carries within multiple archetypes that interact in unique ways, shaping our experiences and possibilities. Understanding this internal diversity means realizing that self-knowledge is not an absolute destination but an ongoing journey, a bridge that connects us to our highest potential. In this way, blood ceases to be just static information and becomes a powerful tool for personal evolution. And so, I invite you to reflect and question, what archetype does your blood reveal about you? To help with this reflection, share in the comments the phrase we prepared especially for you. My blood carries the strength of someone who works to evolve, find their purpose, and transform their story. If this message resonates with you, also leave in the comments. I am open to self-knowledge and transformation. When we expand our understanding of blood types, one element that deserves special attention is the Rh factor. Although it is often considered only a compatibility characteristic for transfusions and transplants, its symbolism goes beyond the biological aspect. From the perspective of self-knowledge and spirituality, the Rh factor presents itself as an indicator of our natural tendencies regarding connection with the world, others, and ourselves. To understand this relationship, we can imagine the Rh factor as an expression of our deep desire for belonging or autonomy. People with a positive Rh tend to find it easier to establish bonds, create support networks, and integrate into communities. This attitude is often associated with archetypes of acceptance, interaction, kindness, and solidarity. These individuals naturally seek recognition and feel driven to participate in groups where they can express their social, caring, or collaborative side. These characteristics act as a bridge that reinforces their sense of belonging to the external world, their relationships, and their origins. On the other hand, those with a negative Rh may be more oriented towards seeking autonomy, freedom, and individuality. These individuals often feel a stronger need to preserve their essence, opinions, and personal space. They are the ones who, quite often, prefer to remain a bit on the fringes of groups, seeking emotional or mental self-sufficiency. This attitude is also related to archetypes of the explorer, thinker, or even a quiet guardian of their own truth. They can be more sensitive to external influences, which makes them more selective when forming bonds or trusting closer relationships. This duality offers an important reflection. The Rh factor not only influences physical aspects related to blood compatibility, but also indicates internal tendencies concerning how each person lives their bonds, social integration, and relationship with the surrounding universe. Understanding this aspect helps realize that our connections do not happen by chance, and that our internal predispositions often shape the way we relate to others, contributing to our journey of self-awareness. Therefore, the RH factor can be seen as a mirror of how open or closed we are to social experiences. It reveals our state of receptivity or preservation, of surrender or autonomy. This perception is fundamental for us to consciously use this information in our personal growth journey. When we understand our tendencies, we can better manage our relationships, balance our emotions, and avoid repetitive patterns that may limit or exhaust us. The relationship between the RH factor, archetypes, and self-knowledge also invites us to reflect on our life phases and internal changes. Just as blood can indicate predispositions, the RH factor reveals our stance toward community, family, work, and even our own thoughts. In moments of crisis or growth, we can perceive how this energy influences our decisions, attitudes, and emotions. Recognizing this connection is therefore an opportunity for daily evolution, a way to better attune ourselves to who we truly are. For those wishing to deepen this connection, a helpful tip is to observe body signals and our automatic reactions to situations involving coexistence, challenge, or happiness. These clues can indicate our level of social openness or closure, enabling us to act more consciously and intentionally. In this way, we can transform these predispositions into points of strength, developing greater self-confidence, self-care, and emotional balance. In short, the RH factor is much more than a technical trait. It represents our attitude toward the world, the bonds we seek or avoid, and how willing we are to connect with others. Knowing this internal dynamic is a powerful tool to navigate our journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth with greater wisdom. And to conclude this reflection, I invite you to leave a comment that provokes a shift in your way of thinking. I am someone who seeks balance between autonomy and connection, understanding my predispositions to evolve more each day. If this phrase makes sense to you, share now. I am open to understanding my tendencies and growing through deep self-knowledge. Let's journey together deeper into discovering who we truly are. Leave your message in the comments and share it with those who also want to better understand their most authentic side. After exploring the symbolic aspects of blood, the archetypes associated with each blood type, and the impact of the RH factor, it becomes clear that this modern and ancient understanding is a powerful tool in the journey of self-development. The truth is that knowing these associations is not just for labeling or creating superficial strategies, but to promote a profound connection with oneself, encouraging conscious and transformative changes. In today's world, many people live immersed in fast-paced routines full of commitments, external expectations, and a constant quest for validation. However, this dynamic often distances them from a true understanding of their potentials, vulnerabilities, and deepest desires. Once they decide to reflect on their own blood, its archetypes, predispositions, and internal tendencies, they begin a journey of self-discovery that can be truly revolutionary. First, this understanding provides clarity about your strengths. A person who discovers they are represented by archetypes of leadership, strength, or creativity begins to value their natural abilities, boosting their self-esteem. Recognizing their symbolic traits helps them acknowledge their most genuine skills, fostering a more confident and authentic attitude across different areas of life. Conversely, this analysis also reveals areas that need attention and growth. For example, someone who identifies a strong tendency toward perfectionism or rigidity linked to their archetype can learn to relax their actions and embrace imperfection with greater ease. Thus, self-awareness promotes a stance of greater acceptance and self-love, crucial for overcoming internal blockages and preventing limiting patterns from dominating their journey. This self-knowledge is a tool of empowerment. By understanding your predispositions, you can make choices more aligned with your true essence instead of acting impulsively based on external pressures or fears of losing control. Planning a career, establishing relationships, or seeking emotional balance become more conscious, more integrated with your authentic nature. Another significant benefit of this discovery is the ability to better understand your own emotions and reactions. When we recognize the symbols and archetypes residing within us, we become more attentive to our internal motivations, needs, and the ways we handle life's challenges. This leads to greater emotional clarity, helping to avoid internal conflicts and fostering more assertive communication with ourselves and others. From this perspective, any meaningful change begins with self-acceptance. Understanding the symbolic attributes of blood allows you to look at your characteristics with love and respect, including those that we sometimes see as limiting. With empathy and self-compassion, it's possible to transform these aspects into strengths that feed your ongoing growth. Finally, I want to extend a special invitation for you to engage in deep reflection. What aspects of your own blood and archetypes can you already recognize in your life? To encourage this reflection, share with me a phrase that comes from your heart. I recognize my predispositions and choose to evolve, transforming my potentials into forces of self-awareness. If this idea inspires you, leave a comment with this phrase or your own version. Share your experience and help others begin their journey of connection with their most essential roots. The more aligned we are with our true selves, the more freedom, joy, and authenticity we can experience in life. As we delve into the symbolic understanding of blood and its archetypes, we realize that this is more than just a theory or curiosity. It is an irresistible invitation to profound transformation, a step toward truly understanding who we are and how we relate to the world around us. This self-discovery is not merely a passing reflection, but a continuous journey that influences our actions, choices, and the way we embrace our vulnerabilities and potentials. When we begin to see that our personality traits, emotional predispositions, and internal strategies may be related to our blood types and their associated archetypes, everything changes. Someone who understands their tendencies can use this awareness to establish routines more aligned with their essence, develop skills that were previously dormant, and above all, improve their relationship with themselves. After all, self-knowledge is the bridge that connects what we are to what we can become. This process of internal evolution also brings significant benefits to how we face life's obstacles. By understanding that certain reactions or patterns are rooted in symbolic and archetypal traits, we gain a new perspective on our limitations. Instead of condemning or blaming ourselves for difficulties, we can embrace these aspects as opportunities for growth, a chance to work with more dedication and awareness to evolve. Another important consequence is the enhancement of interpersonal relationships. When we have greater clarity about our archetypes and predispositions, we become more empathetic toward the differences in others. This understanding broadens our tolerance, fosters respect, and strengthens emotional bonds. For example, someone who recognizes an internal leadership archetype present in their blood may better understand the behavior of a more reserved or flexible person, avoiding unnecessary conflicts and cultivating more harmonious coexistence. Additionally, by applying this knowledge in daily practice, we can identify areas of resistance or blocking that previously went unnoticed. This perception helps us create personalized strategies for emotional, mental, and spiritual development. For some, it may be a tool to overcome insecurities. For others, an incentive to improve communication or leadership skills. Thus, self-discovery becomes a powerful ally in all aspects of our life. Another advantage of understanding the symbolism of blood is the increased sense of belonging to oneself. Many people live on external pursuits, seeking approval, material possessions, superficial relationships, without exploring the richness they carry within. When they decide to look inward and recognize the archetypes and symbols present in their blood, they awaken a silent strength that grants them greater autonomy, courage, and clarity to make choices aligned with their true essence. Finally, this reflection serves to reinforce that self-knowledge is a daily practice, a loving and attentive attitude toward oneself. The more we understand our symbolic roots, the better we can direct our energies toward manifesting an authentic life, free of masks and conditioning. This awareness offers intellectual and emotional freedom, that transforms our perspective on the world, our possibilities and obstacles. And you, which aspect of your blood and your essence do you wish to explore today? To assist you in this reflection, leave a phrase that connects you with your true self. I am open to discovering who I am beyond appearances and to transforming my life through deep self-knowledge. After immersing ourselves in the symbolism of blood, exploring archetypes, the impact of the RH factor, and all possibilities for self-discovery, it is essential to understand that this knowledge should not remain only theoretical. It needs to be applied in daily practice, transforming into a constant tool for growth, reflection, and spiritual evolution. When we do this, we stop being mere spectators of our own path and become conscious protagonists of our choices. True change happens when we use the insights we have gained about our archetypes, predispositions, and tendencies to guide our actions. This means that by becoming aware of what is present in our essence, we can act with greater intention, avoid patterns that limit us, and amplify what propels us forward. The continuous application of these discoveries promotes a recharging of internal forces, an emotional reorganization, and a greater harmony with our true identity. An important step in this process is developing a practice of self-observation. This involves dedicating moments each day to reflect on your emotions, reactions, and decisions, aligning them with the traits and symbols you have uncovered about your blood. This practice helps identify automatic behaviors that we often want to change, as well as reinforce the positive aspects that should be strengthened. It's an opportunity to become more sensitive to your own essence and build a solid self-esteem based on authentic foundations. Another strategy that enhances this growth is the use of affirmations and visualization exercises aligned with your symbolic profile. For example, someone with blood reflecting archetypes of leadership might repeat affirmations like, "I am strong, confident, and capable of leading my own life." Conversely, someone predisposed to creativity could focus on phrases that stimulate originality. "I'm creative, open to possibilities, and live my essence freely." These practices reinforce the connection between your inner self and your actions, promoting faster and more lasting transformations. Moreover, cultivating self-compassion and self-love is fundamental in this journey. Understanding that our traits, predispositions, and archetypes are part of our evolutionary path is an act of kindness toward our soul. In this context, learning to accept our vulnerabilities without judgment is just as important as valuing our strengths. This attitude creates an internal environment of peace, where we can work on our difficulties with greater acceptance and less resistance. Another essential aspect is seeking complementary knowledge. Reading, meditation, therapy, personal development, courses that can further expand your awareness and open new doors for transformation. These resources enhance your ability to better interpret messages from your inner self, adjust your pathways, and develop habits that support your evolution. After all, self-knowledge is a daily commitment, a practice that never ends but enriches itself with each new insight gained. Ultimately, the greatest benefit of applying this knowledge is achieving a more authentic life, aligned with your higher purpose. By understanding your archetypes, predispositions, and your role in the world, you begin to live with greater clarity, fewer conditioning influences, and more presence. This journey of integration makes experiences more meaningful, choices more conscious, and growth happen from the inside out, reflecting all this ancestral and modern wisdom that is now part of you. And you, what action will change your life today? Respond with a phrase that symbolizes your commitment to growth. Today I start my journey of self-knowledge, aligning my actions with who I truly am. Throughout this journey, we have explored how your blood, beyond being just a simple, biological fact, can be a powerful tool for self-knowledge, growth, and connection with your deepest essence. Every detail, every symbol, every archetype present in your genetic makeup is a piece of the larger puzzle of who you truly are. The beauty of this discovery is that it does not limit or define your possibilities. Instead, it amplifies your ability to transform your life from the inside out. Always remember, you are more than your external characteristics, more than your labels or predispositions. Your essence is vast, dynamic, and capable of evolving each day. This understanding of your blood is an invitation for you to look inward with love, courage, and curiosity, discovering the strength that resides in your roots and that can propel your personal growth in a genuine way. So, plant this knowledge as a seed for change. Cultivate self-awareness, practice self-observation, use your strengths wisely, and embrace your vulnerabilities with love. And above all, remember, this journey is yours alone, unique and full of potential for you to live a more aligned, authentic, and fulfilling existence. If you've come this far, don't forget to do your part to continue spreading this message of self-knowledge and transformation. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and activate the notification bell to receive all updates. In this way, you strengthen a community of people seeking to evolve, understand themselves more deeply, and transform their lives with awareness and purpose. Are you ready to embark on this journey of discovery? Comment now. I am open to self-knowledge and ready to evolve. Share this message with those you care about, tag your friends and family, and invite them to also discover the richness they carry within. The more we become aware of our roots, the more we can build a world where authenticity, love, and personal growth prevail over old patterns and limitations. You are a fundamental piece of this transformation. Believe it, your best is yet to come. Thank you for being here, for opening yourself to this reflection, and for being part of this journey of self-discovery. See you in the next content.